Okay, scholarships. How many of you came here thinking, hopefully she's going to tell us where this magic world of scholarships is, that's good, that's untapped, and keep hearing about it. Okay, thanks for being honest. Okay, so here's how it works. There really is no magic well of scholarships that goes untapped. There are some that don't get claimed, but here's what you should do. One, profile your student. Is your daughter a female, left-handed, interested in engineering? They actually have specific scholarships for that. So profile your student with their characteristics first. Second thing you want to do is go and talk to the high school counselor and find out if there's a database that they have of local scholarships that are being offered to students at the school. The reason why I say that's because a lot of these local businesses will just actually, they don't want 100 essays that they have to read. They just want maybe like 10, 15 of them that they can read and give a $1,000 scholarship to a student. So in this situation, they're just going to go to the school and say, hey, I just want to offer this scholarship to your students. So you'll see like Westview. Westview's very tight with their scholarship database because they do put a lot of effort to find local scholarships for students for their specific school. Okay, so go talk to the counselor. 3 is, who's heard of sdfoundation.org? Yeah. So sdfoundation.org is a San Diego foundation, and long story short is that they actually have a database of local scholarships that are offered, that are Business Bureau, all different sorts of scholarships that the students can apply for. You just want to look at your student profile to see if they match the characteristics for each one of those private scholarships. Okay. 3, or we're on 4, right? So 4 is that the one thing that I was just discussing this earlier with somebody, the one thing that parents and students don't do is they don't call the scholarship to ask about how many students typically apply to the scholarship annually. It's like the lottery, you know what I mean? You want to know what your odds are to be able to win, because there is no, no way that you can edge yourself unless you know somebody who's administering the scholarship, right, to win the scholarship. The one thing you want to do is call them up and go, how many students typically apply? Because if there's, if it's a $10,000 scholarship, as we were discussing earlier, and there's 100 students that apply to it versus $1,000 or $2,000 scholarships with only 20 or 15 or even 2 students that apply to it, you want to know what your students' chances or odds are. Because if you have any of you that have students that are in college right now, after they go through that application process, they're burned out. So if you're trying to get them to apply to all these scholarships, you need to kind of make sure that they understand that, look, we've done the research on these ones are probably the best fit for you, so you should apply to these, and let them know that ahead of time so that they're not like, oh, now you want me to go apply to like 50 different scholarships after I just applied to like 12, 14 schools, right? So just something, did you have a question? Did you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Once you're in college, is it too late to apply?
No, you just have to look for undergraduate, you just have to be specific with the criteria that you're looking for.
Do you do that through the university or through back at your home?
The university, anywhere. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I know that local scholarships are easier to win than the ones that are offered nationwide, right? So a lot of times the schools will have specific scholarships that the students can apply to, but it all comes down to criteria. Because a lot of them, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, are need-based.
Yeah.
So you need to have some sort of need, and if you don't qualify technically for a need, then you need to be looking for the non-need based ones, right?
So you have to call the college then, like find out?
The college, I mean, also Google is one of my best friends. So I would probably use Google to be able to search like female student interested in engineering, second year student, and then you will see which ones will pop up. There'll be databases everywhere, yes?
Are the local scholarships limited to residents of California or out-of-state students also?
So with private scholarships, it really just depends on the organization that's putting it on to determine what criteria that they want to be able to give the student to. So it's like searching for recipes, right? You kind of have to just go through all of them to see which one sounds the best for you for dinner, right? So just something to think about there. Okay, so then we have merit-based scholarships. Okay, those are private scholarships, and have you guys heard about merit-based scholarships yet? So merit-based scholarships are offered by the universities themselves. Okay, and what happens is if your student is well above the average GPA or SAT score for an average student that's accepted there, they end up, a lot of times the universities will give out money in terms of in a form of a merit-based scholarship student to attract them to come to the school. So a school like USD, I have a student that had a 4.2, a 2,000 on her, actually it was about 2,100, almost 2,100 on her SATs, and she got $15,000 of a merit-based scholarship from USD, University of San Diego. It's a private school, okay? They don't, but in this situation of a merit-based scholarship, they don't look at the parents' financial situation to determine how much they'll give. So oftentimes, if you have a really good student who's above the average for a student that's accepted at a private university, they'll come to the table and try to attract students to come to their school. Yes?
Is that going to be primarily at your private schools?
Yeah, so, I mean, some of the UCs have like a Regent scholarship, but I can tell you UCLA and Berkeley do not. So, I had a student in Hawaii just last year who got a Regent scholarship to Davis. Not Santa Barbara, but Davis, right? And she had roughly about 4.4 and about 2260 on her SATs, yeah. So she's well above the average for a student that goes to Davis. That's why they're like, here, we want you to come to our school.
Going back to your USD scenario, is that 15,000 just for that first year and then it's over? Or
Yeah, as long as the student continues to keep their GPA up, I mean, it's not something like you have to have a 4.0. Typically, it's like, as long as you maintain a 3.2, 3.3, then we'll continue to give you this $15,000 scholarship going forward. Yeah. What's the reasoning behind that? I mean, of course, you know, they want to help a student, but at the same time, they also want to make their average GPA look higher too. So it's kind of their way of doing it.